What is going on, beautiful people? I am Lee Hammett, the diagnosed self-aware narcissist known as mental illness, and welcome to another episode of A Self-Aware Narcissist Explains. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the emotional discard by a narcissistic person. Not the physical discard. Physical sometimes, but the emotional discard comes first. Stay tuned, like, and subscribe for more. So the discard phase with a narcissist or toxic person works differently depending on the person. And if you're new here, I'm a narcissist. I have narcissistic personality disorder. So most narcissistic people will emotionally discard you. Well, they will just like the emotional connection just fizzles and fades to pretty much oblivion. There's no more physical intimacy. There's no more nothing. They'll emotionally get rid of you, but they might not physically discard you. So a narcissistic person, toxic person, whatever, can emotionally discard you, but keep you around. And that's why I tell people sometimes that longevity in a relationship does not mean a happy relationship. You get people who remain in toxic relationships for 10, 20, 30, 40 something odd years. And people automatically assume that because they have a long relationship, that relationship was a happy relationship. But typically a narcissistic person can emotionally discard you and keep you around for a very, very long time. Some will emotionally discard you and then physically discard you. Every discard phase is going to be different depending on the. What is going on, beautiful people? Welcome back. So this discard right here is not a lot of people don't talk about this discard. I've made similar videos to this before, but refresher courses always help. And also I've gained more knowledge since the last video I made about the emotional discard as well. So everybody typically knows the phases of a narcissistic relationship. What's the first phase? Love bombing, idealization. If you guessed love bombing, you were correct. What's the second stage? Typically, devaluation. Correct. Two for two. Third stage, discard. Yes. Idealization, devaluation, discard. Typically, in the rinse, repeat, or whatever. It typically goes like that. But for me, other people break up the stages into smaller sections and whatnot. But for me, I break up the discard stage into smaller sections and whatnot. So I do so for me, the discard phase is the emotional discard and the physical discard, because not all narcissists will physically discard you. They'll discard you emotionally and still live in the same house. What I mean by the emotional discard is they disconnect from you. They emotionally disconnect from you. I tell this, and the emotional discard begins during the devaluation phase. So while you're being devalued, they're emotionally discarding you as well. And once the emotional discard happens, they kind of get away from you. They don't talk to you anymore. There's no more hugging, no more kissing. There's nothing else going on as far as concerned as intimacy. Like, it all kind of goes out the window when you're dealing with people like that. When you're dealing with narcissistic people, toxic people, it goes that way in a lot of times. So I tell people, when you're doing this, when you're dealing with a narcissistic person, right, you have to understand love bombing, idealization is going to feel great to most people. Like, you're going to be getting everything you ever wanted and asked for. You're going to be looking for everything that you've been looking for in a partner or significant other, sibling, whatever, job. It could be a job, it could be a friend, whatever, but intimate relationships are the easiest to talk about. A job or whatever, you know what I mean? So the way the dynamic goes is that, like, when you're dealing with it, oh my goodness, I gotta change that. I change the schedule. So you deal with narcissistic people. After the discard, after the love bombing phase comes the devaluation phase, when they take the love away. When the love bombing stops, they take the love away. They start to devalue you and make you feel like less than, devalue, to take away, to strip of value, you worth less, not worthless. You're worth less. They make you feel like you're worth less. Now, you're not worthless. You're worth less. You see what I'm saying? But that's the way the dynamic goes when you're dealing in a lot of these toxic relationships. They make you feel like you're worth less than what you actually are. So I tell this to people all the time when you're dealing with this toxicity and things like that. Emotional discard comes. They disconnect from you. They don't talk to you. I don't love you. They don't act like they don't love you anymore. If you're living together or you're married to this person, it's like you become roommates. Like if you raising kids together, it's like you become like just roommates who live together and share kids. You know what I mean? It gets that way, and they're emotionally disconnected from it. You can feel it. It's a feeling, y'all. It's a feeling. It's actions involved in emotional discard, but it's a feeling as well. You can feel it. You know it. It doesn't feel the same anymore. And a lot of times in this instance, you as a survivor or victim of this toxic person, you'll ask them about it. It's like, is something going on? Things feel differently. And they'll always, typically, they'll put your unease to rest. They're like, no, everything's fine. Just got stuff going on at work. Work has been tough, whatever. Or they'll call you crazy, or they'll try to manipulate you to make you feel like nothing's going on, but you know that something's going on. You can tell it. Less text messages, less whatever. They emotionally pull themselves away from you. And like I said, a lot of times after the emotional discard comes, after they get rid of you emotionally, that follows after that comes the physical discard. Most times, a lot of times, like I said in the beginning, not every narcissistic person that emotionally discards you will get rid of you physically. Just because they fall out of love with you or emotionally discard you doesn't mean that they will get rid of you and let you move out or move on to someone else, or they move on to someone else. They might keep you around because they don't want to see you with anybody else. They might not feel the same way about you. They might not act the same way around you, but it doesn't mean that they'll actually let you go freely and move on to someone else without any kind of animosity or just, any kind of turbulence in your release. They'll hold up the release process, In the emotional discard, what I mean when I say the emotional discard doesn't always lead to the physical discard, because after the emotional discard happens, they might can love bomb you again. They might can start another love bombing process. The emotional discard is kind of like the point, you can go back or you can go forward. It's like a swinging pendulum. You can go back or you can go forward. Sometimes they go back to love bombing you because you want to leave. After you get emotionally discarded, you can feel them pulling away from you. You can feel them treating you differently. So you try to leave them. You try to physically get rid of them, right? Because they've emotionally got rid of you. You try to physically get rid of them. But it doesn't work out that way because here they come. They're not ready to let you go. Like I said, just because they emotionally get rid of you doesn't mean that they want to physically. So if you try to physically get rid of them and they're not ready to physically let you go, they'll start to love bomb you again. They'll turn on the love again. They'll turn on like the love switch, the little love meter. They'll crank it up to like 10 or 11 or whatever. It was on 1 because they emotionally discarded you. They'll pop it back. They might not get back to 10. If it's a 1 to 10 scale, it's a 1 right now because you've been emotionally discarded. They might crank it up to a 7, 8 maybe. But that 7 or 8, because you're not used to it anymore, feels like that 10 in the beginning. Because you've been getting 0. You've been getting 0 to 1. Now you're getting 7 to 8. It feels like a 10 now. And that's where breadcrumbing comes in. Like they can do less and it means more. Because if a hug feels a lot better, feels a lot more meaningful when you haven't had a hug in a year. The words "I love you" followed by a hug and a kiss mean a lot more if that hasn't happened to you in 6-7 months. You can't remember the last time you got your cheeks clapped. You get to this dynamic. Cheek clapping feels so much better, feels so much more meaningful because maybe now this is the only time y'all can connect to each other. So you haven't done this in a while. It feels a lot better to you in that dynamic, in that instance. I'm not saying it didn't feel good before. I'm just saying if less is more. You know what I mean? To a narcissistic person, less is more. They want to condition you to accept less because that less feels like more. That's where the breadcrumbing comes in. If you're used to getting scraps, breadcrumbs can fill you up. If you have an empty stomach, a few breadcrumbs can make you feel full. You're not full. It gives you the illusion of fullness. It gives you the illusion of happiness in a relationship, but you're not full. You see what I'm saying? That's what happens in a lot of these relationship dynamics, y'all, with toxic people. They might emotionally just get rid of you. And like, why do they emotionally discard us? Like, y'all, typically during the love bombing phase, the narcissist has this perfect image of you in their heads. Like in our heads, we see you as this perfect person. Like, damn, I've really found the one for me. This is me. I love this person so much. I want to give this person the world. Like this is who I've been looking for. You are who I've been praying for. You are who I've been asking for and getting on my hands and knees and begging God for. You are them. You are it. But then sooner or later something happens and that image gets shattered and they don't look at you the same anymore. You know what I mean? And it's not your fault. There's nothing. You can prolong the relationship, but there's nothing you can do to get back to the very beginning to make you feel like the relationship is salvageable or anything like that. You know what I mean? But regardless, y'all, I'm gonna cut this thing short. I truly appreciate y'all sticking with me through the end of this. My battery's about to go dead. I really truly appreciate every single one of y'all. Like and subscribe for more. And as always, mental illness is out. Peace.